What's going on, guys? This is EK1 Gaming here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at kind of the PTS phase 1, what we found, and also we're going to touch on the state of the game yesterday, because if I'm being honest, I think that was a pretty good state of the game. I think what they're doing with the game, or the direction that the game's going in, it seems like they're starting to listen to people and our feedback, and which is what I thought this PTS was going to do. But first of all, let's have a little recap of yesterday and the state of the game. So basically, if you're not aware, the PTS today is shut down for 24 hours, and tomorrow, which is Friday the 29th, there will be phase 2 of the PTS. Now that will have all of the changes that they needed to make from phase 1. They pretty much said also there will be a phase 3, and I believe that is because basically no one really tested anything in phase 1, because as soon as the Bulwark build come out, nobody actually did anything else apart from try and play the game with the Bulwark, which got quite boring, which made me in fact stop playing the PTS after about 2 or 3 days, because you go into the Dark Zone and people were just using Bulwark constantly. Now, one of the things they said about Bulwark, its intended effect was to regenerate 40%, or I think it was 60% with the backpack. However, when in PvP, it was counting the damage incoming as the PvE damage. So when your assault rifle, say, does 100k, when you go into PvP, it drops by 20%, for example. So that should be down now to 80k. However, it was still given the healing for the PvE stat of 100k. So you were technically getting like that 20% more. So also, it was incoming repairs was working with the build when that was not intended as well. So you could literally get your incoming repair up to 100, and you were just gaining constant levels of immunity, and basically you just could not be killed. So that's being worked on, and they hopefully are going to bring that in on Friday. Basically, they also touched on weapon damage and how people were saying, you know, the M1A and stuff like that now has been nerfed, etc. Well, what they have done, they have brought other rifles up around that, you know, and also brought other weapons into the equation. And I found this even during the first PTS, a lot of people wasn't just using rifles anymore. It was ARs, SMGs, you know. I didn't see many people running skill builds, but I don't know what they're going to do with skill builds. But basically, you know, it's opened up the whole perspective for everyone to have different builds. Shotgun's got a massive buff, like 20% buff. So to me, it's a good thing that the rifle got kind of nerfed a little bit. They haven't killed it, don't get me wrong, it's still viable to use, and there's plenty of other alternatives out there, such as the Virginia and etc. But basically they've brought other weapons up to match it, so we get that build diversity that we've been asking for so long. They basically then touched on the Walker Harris & Co., the new brand set, which has a bonus on there, basically damage to armor. And people are complaining, saying damage to armor is not as good as raw weapon damage, as in 5% damage to armor is not better than 10% AR damage, when in fact it is. So, which is why we use like the Contractors and the Fox's Prayer and stuff like that. You know, that's why people use that. So 5% damage to armor is worth more than 10% AR damage. I had to think about it for a second when they said it, but actually when you do the math, it does work out. As a few of you pointed out in my last video as well, my State of the Game video, a few of you pointed out the fact that it does equate to a lot more than that. So, which is fantastic. So basically that 5% damage to armor is going to be, you know, worth putting on. However, in my opinion, the 5% weapon damage as the first talent, or the first ability you get, is not very good. You know, that should be around 10, you know. Give it 10%, make it that new Providence, you know. Make me take away Providence, crit damage, crit chance, and all that good stuff. Make me take that away for this weapon damage, raw weapon damage. But put the weapon damage up. That's my opinion. But hey, let's try it and see how we feel once we've got all the brand sets maxed out and stuff, because I believe it's going to be a great brand set. It will pretty much take over Providence, I think, personally, because the weapon damage on it is weapon damage for any weapon, you know. It's not like you're limited to LMG damage, AR damage, you know, it's just weapon damage. And then you can stack on your AR damage, etc. So they looked at or talked about the time to kill in PvP. And of course, like, we knew what was going to happen with this. We knew the time to kill could not be looked at. After day one of the PTS, I knew they would not be able to judge what the time to kill would be like in the DZ. Simple fact is, people are running Bulwark. You can't tell a time to kill when there's gear sets that are broken. Now, again, like I said before, it's their own fault, because I believe they did not test any of this before putting the PTS up, which should have been slightly tested. They should be putting it in as what they think would be acceptable to go live. Then we should test it and say, hey, you just need to tweak this, this, and this, etc. Not put it in as a mess and then we tell them what to do with their game, which seems to be the way we're aiming right now. But I'm not going to complain, because it's working for now, okay? Like, if they go on their words, then it is working. So they're also not going to increase stash space, which to me needs doing. Like, they need to do something with stash. And I had a great idea. I'm really sorry, but I can't remember who said it on my comment section. Somebody said it on my comment section saying, don't give us more stash space. All you need to do is, when you've got a piece of gear in your stash and you try and put another piece of gear the same in your stash and it's got better stats, it simply says to you, hey, this is a duplicate, which one do you want to keep? So that would make it better. So I don't have to have 20 contractor's gloves in my stash, because I know which one's better and I keep them, instead of having to keep going through all of your stuff constantly. Because the way the game is, I mean, they nerf and buff things each, every other week we get something new that's been buffed or nerfed. So you don't know what to get rid of now. You might find a gun and think, oh, this is crap. You get rid of it, and then the next week, that gun is the new meta and everyone wants it. You have to then go and re-farm for that thing that you've probably dismantled 20 of. You know? So people are storing stuff, they're hoarding stuff because of that reason. Now, let's go on to the Season 2 stuff. It's going to be available for all of the Warlords of New York expansion owners. Okay? So the standard season pass will open with the Warlords. If you want the premium track, so it's going to include like an extra line of premium goods, which is going to be cosmetic items, some extra cachets, etc. You're going to have to pay for that. That is going to be a paid premium version. If you have Warlords of New York, you're going to get the standard, standard season pass. So you don't have to get the paid version. It's just if you want that extra. You want them extra cosmetics if you collect cosmetics or vanity items. For me, I don't, so I'm probably not going to get the Season Pass, because there's going to be nothing there for me, really. But they also then confirmed the leaks, which surprised me a lot. Like, a lot. Before the State of the Game started in my stream, I actually said, oh, I bet you they do not even speak about these leaks to do with Skyscraper and all the season leaks. And towards the end of the State of the Game, they proved me wrong, which I'm glad they did, because all it takes is them to acknowledge stuff, right? And we've been complaining about this for a long time, and it just seems now, I think the more we have gone on about things, they're actually starting to listen now and become more community focused, which they wasn't before. So I'm happy that they've addressed the leaks. I'm obviously sad that the leaks are out there, and you might be thinking, oh, why have I not done a video on the leaks? And that's simply because I don't want to spoil the whole story for everybody. I started watching the leak and I got in about 2 minutes into a video, and I turned it off because I didn't want to know what's going to happen. I want to play it, I want to enjoy it, and I don't want to ruin the story for somebody else, It's different, if you're putting out, like, I don't know, exploit glitch, it's that person's choice to do that, right? That doesn't affect their game unless they do it themselves. But if I put out a video and I tell you exactly what the story's going to be, what the new mode's going to be, and everything, it ruins that experience for the player, and that really is something that's not good for me. I wouldn't want to do that for my community. So that's why I haven't put the video out. There are plenty of videos out there on it. Go and watch another content creator, because there are some great content creators. I'll tell you, the video I was watching, I believe it was Phoenix Gaming. I got a couple of minutes in. As I say, I turned it off because not because the content's not good, but because I didn't want a spoiler. You know, I didn't want to spoil it for myself. So that's you can go and watch it wherever you like. It's all over YouTube. But they have been confirmed, the skyscraper mode, and they're saying it's not going to be like Underground. Now, what they have said, it's going to be like the replayable content, right? Which is what I've been doing videos on, complaining about for the last like 2 months, saying we need replayable content because the content is dry and boring, which is true. Like, unless you're new to the game, the content's terrible, you know, like it's boring now. So Skyscraper, in my opinion, I'm going to give a quick what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be the 100 floors. Each floor you're going to have a different objective, and you're going to have to do a different thing to pass each level. And then when you get to level 100, it's going to be basically all hell breaks loose, and it's going to be crazy. A bit like Resistance, but with things to do. You know, like you had to go into certain areas when you were on Resistance, etc. I think there'll be certain tasks to do on each floor to be able to progress to the next one. But that's just my opinion. Now let's quickly go on to exotics. I don't want this video to go on too long. You know I like to keep it short and sweet. Exotic buffs. They've said most exotic weapons have had a damage increase. But we'll go into a couple of them for you now. The Eagle Bearer is getting like a 7% increase, I believe. I think it was 7%. Also, the Chameleon is getting a 32.8% increase, which is crazy. So that Chameleon now is going to be definitely a viable weapon to use. If you haven't got one, I'd definitely go and recommend getting one or trying to get one. The Bighorn headshot damage increase while scoped. BTS U-Gloves will increase skill haste for the Hive depending on your skill tier. So they've changed the BTS U-Gloves. Also now with the holster, you know, the Imperial Dynasty holster, you have to be aiming at a target for a few seconds before it puts the fire on you. It doesn't just do it automatically when you run past them. So PvP bleed damage was also reduced 75% on the Hive, on the Explosive Seekers, etc. So it's not the actual burst of it, it's just the bleed afterwards. So when you're out of the area, it doesn't still just take you down, which I think that's what was needed. I called out for that a long time ago on a video. Skill builds were really ruining PvP experience just as much as the one-shot, you know, one-shot rifle builds, etc. It was just ruining the time to kill. So they've addressed that as well, which is fantastic. So weapon handling changes. A few people have asked me about the weapon handling changes. They did not make it into the wave 1 or phase 1 of PTS, but they will be in the new phase of the PTS. And basically that will cover, you know, swap speed, weapon handling stability, accuracy, all in one. So when you do weapon handling, you should notice an increase in all of those stats on your weapons. So it works as like a combined weapon handling package, which is great, and I'm looking forward to trying that out 100%. So basically, I mean, that's pretty much it in terms of the state of the game, and I honestly just think that they're doing a great job at the moment. Don't get me wrong, you know, I'll call it when it's not, but that state of the game actually took me away thinking, I can't wait for phase 2 of the PTS so I can go and try this stuff. No, I'm not saying that phase 2 of the PTS is going to be perfect, because, you know, we know what the Division are like. It's not. And even when the game or TU10 is released, we know there's going to be bugs, errors, and it's not going to work properly, because that's how it works. Like, that's how it's been since Division 1. But if they address the main things, we can oversee some of the smaller things, you know, like the odd delta here and there, etc. So, yeah, I honestly think it's going to be great. Of course, there's been a question at the bottom of the screen the whole time of this video, so make sure you put that answer in the comment section below. I'm really interested to see what people are going to say, and, you know, let's get everyone's thoughts of the community and get it out there. Are the devs or the division going in the right direction? Simple question, you know. Are they going in the right direction with the game? So put your answers down below. Hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you are new. Also, don't forget to go follow me on Twitch, because I do stream most days on Twitch. Twitch.tv/EK1Gaming. Take care, everybody, and I will see you all in the next video. Let's go!